Hello, guys. I spoke earlier about Tucker Carlson in defense of some of the statements made by a CNN anchor by the name of Brian Stelter. Um, Bald guy with a high-pitched voice. Went after Tucker Carlson and Fox News, and in regards of them being the problem and not being considered real news, and I found that ridiculous because Fox News is, to say that Fox News is any more dangerous for society than CNN or NBC, I think is pretty ridiculous. I mean, they both serve their bases. They both serve the purpose of narrowing the window of conversation and consciousness of what's going on in our society to narrow. They both push their own narrow window of a vision for this society, I guess you could say. But I didn't give, when I said that I feel like I didn't give Tucker Carlson enough credit, because I will say this: Tucker Carlson is the number one rated. He's the number one rated anchor on Fox News, and his programming is largely carrying Fox News, and it shows because he's the head. I mean, he's got the 8 p.m. time slot, which is the best time slot to have, except on MSNBC, where Rachel Maddow has the 9 p.m. time slot, which the conventional wisdom is the earlier of a time slot, the better. But what I failed to express with Tucker Carlson in that, there are things that I like about him and dislike about him. For instance, I think that his coverage of war, various conflicts. I think, our involvement in the Middle East and the way that we interact, our foreign policy in general. Tucker Carlson has done good work. So when it comes to conflicts in the Middle East, when it comes to the way that our country handles foreign adversaries such as China or Russia, I think that he did a good job. I agree about having a stronger stance against China and countering their subversion efforts in our country and their general goals of dismantling our empire. All that is something that Tucker Carlson has talked about. Now, he's also talked about like Jeff Bezos and other major CEOs of either tech companies, or like there was one segment at least where he talked about Walmart and Amazon and how they already benefit from a socialist system that benefits corporations. They already benefit from corporate welfare, in the sense that we the taxpayers are paying the wages, or we're subsidizing the wages via food stamps of the highest the most employed companies in the world, or at least in the country. Some of the biggest employers of the country, we subsidize their wages. We subsidize their employees' wages. He's talked about things like whistleblowers like Julian Assange and Edward Snowden and things like that. So there's a whole lot of good things that Tucker Carlson does. I don't agree with he stopped short of actually presenting socialism more neutrally, at least in the extent of like, hey, this is why, he's talked about why Bernie Sanders should have been feared in 2020, and then he's also talked about, but then he stopped short of talking about socialism and why socialism is, and, he still spouts the conventional wisdom about socialism, at least when it comes to Fox News. Conventional wisdom being socialism is bad and should be avoided, which I disagree with, at least to the extent of how we handle wealth inequality and foreign policy and things like that. But anyway, so those various issues are some of the positive things about him. I will say this, that over the course of the coronavirus pandemic, I've lost a little bit of respect for his work just in this, just his coronavirus coverage. I would say isn't spectacular, but those are some of the big ones. So there are things those are a couple other things, but what I will say is just that I think by far and away Tucker Carlson is one of the best anchors on network news. But not for those reasons. Those are just the things I like about him, those are just the issues that's just the ideology that I like about him. But where he puts his money where his mouth is, you could say, is his guest appearances of one of my favorite news guys, Jimmy Dore, who has the Jimmy Dore Show on YouTube. Jimmy Dore does a lot of great work, and I have really enjoyed seeing Tucker Carlson have Jimmy Dore on his show, and not just once or maybe not even twice. I think he's had Jimmy Dore on his show at least twice, and in those segments, Jimmy Dore he expressed his interest at reaching out directly to the president for the purpose of in these last months trying to urge him to withdraw troops from the Middle East and pardon whistleblowers and those are really good things. Like the fact that Jimmy Dore, a figure who's seemingly more hated by figures on the left than figures on the right, at least to the extent that when it comes to Tucker Carlson actually embracing Jimmy Dore and allowing him onto his show to say what he has to say, and it really shows that there's a level of camaraderie, or at least respect for each other's work, at least from Tucker Carlson's point of view. Jimmy Dore, I don't know his opinions of Tucker. I just know that Jimmy Dore goes on the show because he can reach out to people on the right in that regard, and he can reach directly to the president to an extent, because we know that apparently Trump watches a lot of Tucker Carlson, or at least he used to. So that's one of the things I really like about Tucker Carlson. From my perspective, is just that one of my favorite news options I watch most of my news on YouTube, and Jimmy Dore is a big one. And the fact that Tucker has had him on his show at least twice, I think speaks a lot to his. It just shows that Tucker isn't just like every other anchor. Any anchor can have a few good segments, but when you actually bring a guest on who you're not going to see eye to eye on with everything, but on certain key issues like wars, issues like war, issues like corporate, wealth inequality and corporate greed and the work and labor rights and especially like the pardoning of whistleblowers. Those are things that they connected on, and I respect them I respect the two of them for being able to connect it that way. But I respect Tucker a little bit more in this particular situation, because he doesn't have to have guys like him on his show, but Tucker wants to reach a younger audience and a more diverse audience, and I think it's working well for him, because he's certainly caught my attention, because it's not that Jimmy Dore wouldn't prefer to go on more left-wing shows. I'm sure that given the opportunity, Jimmy would be on, would be happy to be on Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow. I'm sure Jimmy would go on Rachel Maddow and tear her a new asshole for all the Russia conspiracy stuff that's gone on for the last. The thing is, I don't know. He would like. It's not a matter of why Jimmy chose that show, which has gotten some criticism because they think, oh, you're not a real leftist if you're going to go on Tucker Carlson. But actually, it makes a lot of sense for him to reach out to a wider audience and to try not just to appeal to the president, but to appeal to people who are generally more conservative. Because I can happily say that I'm one of those people who generally grew up in a more conservative background and grew up with conservative parents and was able to find shows like the Jimmy Dore Show and really enjoy that and really take a lot from it and find that we have a lot more. I agree a lot more with people on the left than I realized in a lot of ways. But anyway, so I just wanted to get that out there that I think Tucker Carlson does good work, and I'd be disappointed to see him leave that network or to disappear from news, at least while there isn't anybody there clearly isn't anybody who's willing to fill those shoes. Not that I've seen. But anyway, thanks for your time, guys.